safely a near 100-year supply of natural gas in this country, something that experts believe will support more than 600,000 jobs by the end of the decade. We supported the first new nuclear power plant in 3 decades. Our cooperation with the private sector has positioned this country to be the world's leading manufacturer of high-tech batteries that will power the next generation of American cars that use less oil. Maybe don't use any oil at all. And after 3 decades of inaction, we put in place the toughest fuel economy standards in history for our cars and pickup trucks, and the first standards ever for heavy-duty trucks. And because we did this, our cars will average nearly 55 miles per gallon by the middle of the next decade. That's nearly double what they get today. Now, I remember what it was like as a student. You guys probably have one of those old beaters. Who knows what kind of mileage you guys get? I can tell you some stories about the cars I had. I bought one for $500. But you know, by the middle of the next decade, you guys are going to be buying some new cars, hopefully sooner than that. And that means you'll be able to fill up your car every 2 weeks instead of every week, something that over time will save the typical family more than $8,000 at the pump. And it means this country will reduce our oil consumption by more than 2 million barrels a day. That's not only good for your pocketbook, that's good for the environment. All right, but here's the thing. We've got to do more. We've got to act even faster. We have to keep investing in the development of every available source of American-made energy. And this is a question of where our priorities are. This is a choice that we face. Now, first of all, while there are no silver bullets short-term when it comes to gas prices, and anybody who says otherwise isn't telling the truth, I have directed my administration to look for every single area where we can make an impact and help consumers in the months ahead, from permitting to delivery bottlenecks to what's going on in the oil markets. We're going to look at every single aspect of gas prices because we know the burden that it's putting on consumers. And we will keep taking as many steps as we can in the coming weeks. That's short term, but over the long term, an all of the above energy strategy requires us having the right priorities. We've got to have the right incentives in place. I'll give you an example. Right now, $4 billion of your tax dollars subsidize the oil industry every year. $4 billion. They don't need a subsidy. They're making near record profits. These are the same oil companies that have been making record profits off the money you spend at the pump for several years now. How do they deserve another $4 billion from taxpayers in subsidies? It's outrageous. It's inexcusable. And every politician who's been fighting to keep those subsidies in place should explain to the American people why the oil industry needs more of their money, especially at a time like this. I said this at the State of the Union. A century of subsidies to the oil companies is long enough. It's time to end taxpayer giveaways to an industry that has never been more profitable, double down on clean energy industries that have never been more promising. That's what we need to do. This Congress needs to renew the clean energy tax credits that will lead to more jobs and less dependence on foreign oil. Now, the potential of a sustained all-of-the-above energy strategy is all around us. Here in Miami, 2008, Miami became the first major American city to power its city hall entirely with solar and renewable energy, right here in Miami. The modernization of your power grid so that it wastes less energy is one of the largest projects of its kind in the country. On a typical day, the wind turbine at the Miami-Dade Museum can meet about 10% of the energy needs in a South Florida home, and the largest wind producer in the country is over at Juno Beach. Right here at this university, your work is helping manufacturers save millions of dollars in energy bills by making their facilities more energy efficient. So a lot of work's already being done right here, just in this area. And the role of the federal government isn't to supplant this work, take over this work, direct this research. It is to support these discoveries. Our job is to help outstanding work that's being done in universities and labs, and to help businesses get new energy ideas off the ground. Because it was public dollars, public research dollars, that over the years helped develop the technologies that companies are right now using to extract all this natural gas out of shale rock. The payoff on these public investments, they don't always come right away. And some technologies don't pan out. And some companies will fail. But as long as I'm president, I will not walk away from the promise of clean energy. Your future is too important. I will not give up. I will not cede the wind or the solar or the battery industry to China or Germany because some politicians in Washington refuse to make the same commitment here in America. With or without this Congress, I will continue to do whatever I can to develop every source of American energy, so our future isn't controlled by events on the other side of the world. Today, we're taking a step that will make it easier for companies to save money by investing in energy solutions that have been proven here at the University of Miami. New lighting systems, advanced heating and cooling systems that can lower a company's energy bills and make them more competitive. We're launching a program that will bring together the nation's best scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs to figure out how more cars can be powered by natural gas, a fuel that's cleaner and cheaper and more abundant than oil. We've got more of that. We don't have to import it. We may be exporting it soon. We're making new investments in the development of gasoline and diesel and jet fuel that's actually made from a plant-like substance, algae. You got a bunch of algae out here, right? If we can figure out how to make energy out of that, we'll be doing all right. Believe it or not, we could replace up to 17% of the oil we import for transportation with this fuel that we can grow right here in the United States. And that means greater energy security, that means lower costs, it means more jobs, it means a stronger economy. Now, none of the steps that I've talked about today is going to be a silver bullet. It's not going to bring down gas prices tomorrow. Remember, if anybody says they've got a plan for that, what? I'm just saying. We're not gonna overnight solve the problem of world oil markets. There is no silver bullet. There never has been. And part of the problem is when politicians pretend that there is, then we put off making the tough choices to develop new energy sources and become more energy efficient. We got to stop doing that. We don't have the luxury of pretending. We've got to look at the facts, look at the science, figure out what we need to do. We may not have a silver bullet, but we do have in this country limitless sources of energy, a boundless supply of ingenuity, huge imagination, amazing young people like you, all of which we can put to work to develop this new energy source. Now, it's the easiest thing in the world to make phony election year promises about lower gas prices. What's harder is to make a serious, sustained commitment to tackle a problem. And it won't be solved in 1 year. It won't be solved in one term. It may not be completely solved in 1 decade, but that's the kind of commitment we need right now. That's what this moment requires. So I need all of you to keep at it. I need you guys to work hard. I need you guys to dream big. I need those of you who are a lot smarter than me to figure out how we're going to be able to tap into new energy sources. We've got to summon the spirit of optimism and that willingness to tackle tough problems that led previous generations to meet the challenges of their times, to power a nation from coast to coast, to send a man to the moon, to connect an entire world with our own science and our own imagination. That's what America's capable of. That's what this country is about. And that history teaches us that whatever our challenges, all of them, whatever we face, we always have the power to solve them. This is going to be one of the major challenges for your generation. Solving it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to require our brightest scientists, our most creative companies, but it's going to also require all of us as citizens, Democrats, Republicans, everybody in between, all of us are going to have to do our part. If we do, the solution's within our reach. And I know we can do it. We have done it before. And when we do, we will remind the world once again just why it is that the United States of America is the greatest country on earth. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless America.